Are we rocking and rolling?
Yeah, hang on.
Did you say hang on?
Yeah, hang on.
Hello, world. Iron Ethos, back at it again. Is this when we need to start? Oh, no, here's how I was going to start. I was going to say, to the millions of listeners out there, if you notice, my beard is a little bit shorter than it normally is.
looking clean,
Yeah,
man.
well, I'll tell you, it's probably been, no doubt about it, years. I can't think of how long it's been since it's been this short, but, just give you a little background. I'm sitting there trying to get cleaned up for this evening for the podcast, and my boys, my oldest one's in there jacking with me in the bathroom, and so I grabbed the shaver, and all of a sudden when I hit the side, it's like and I knew instantly something was wrong. It doesn't make that kind of noise, and the guard was off, so I had to peel her down. So, anyways, you might notice a different scenery out on the back porch, enjoying life. And tonight's podcast, it was my turn to pick, and it's about honesty. And that's an important subject to us because we believe that is the core value of what a man is. We were talking earlier, and it's like, when you see a movie and, let's say it's Rough and Tough Cowboys or something, and they make a deal, and he reaches his hand out and he shakes his hand, and he gives his word, I know for me, that always gives me a warm and fuzzy, for some reason. I'm like, that meant something, what he just did there, you know what I mean? When he shook his hand and he gave me his word, he looked him in the eyes and told him he was going to do something, that meant something.
Yeah, it was significant.
Yeah.
Like when he said he was going to do it and he shook his hand, it was significant.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? It's something we hadn't talked about yet, but the importance of a good handshake.
Oh, yeah.
We ought to get into that a little
yeah.
bit.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I mean, what are the mechanics of a good handshake?
Are we wanting to get into it now?
Yeah, get into it. Get into it.
Well, I mean, for me, okay, so the good mechanics of a handshake for myself is, what I'm gonna make it a good initial connection. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not coming in too fast and I'm not coming in too soft. I want to get a good connection in the first thing, but I'm not trying to break their hand. I'm not trying to show you how tough I am and what kind of man I am by squeezing your hand, but at the same time, I'm not slapping you a dead fish.
You know
You know what I
don't
mean?
want a dead fish.
So I'm giving you a firm connection, and I'm looking you in the eye when I do that.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
When you're teaching your son how to shake somebody's hand, that's always one of the things you tell him is you look him in the eye and you give him a solid handshake.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
important. Like that's
Oh,
something.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've taught that to your boys.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you have.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
taught that to my son. I think a big part of making the good connection
Yeah.
is you get your hand up there and you make sure it's wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can kind of get that.
Yeah, you want
lock.
that first little pop.
You
You
know
feel
what I
that
mean?
pop and
Yeah.
then bam, yeah.
Then
Oh,
you know you got
yeah,
that
yeah.
good, that
Oh, I know.
secure grip. Man, I hate it when you kind of miss and they like grab your fingers or something. You can't really get
I'll tell you what,
the squeeze
I'll
on
tell you
them.
what, that happened to me a while back, and I, in being back in the business world, I was like, oh, hey,
let's
redo
redo
that,
it.
and I re-grabbed him. I was like, yeah, let's get a redo,
That-
yeah.
It's probably better to ask for a redo than let them
100%,
go on
no.
thinking, okay, this old boy ain't got a
He's
handshake on
like,
him.
you know what? He just crumbled. His fingers just, crumbled. Yeah.
I hate that.
Oh yeah, and you're like, oh, you got me wrong. Anybody
Okay.
can crumble fingers on the outside.
Right.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, like you said, look in the eyes. That's what I have to when I practice with my boys.
Yeah.
They'd shake my hand and be like, and look down. I'm like, hey, no.
Yeah.
Look up.
That's kind of a natural instinct for kids is
Yeah.
they want to look down. And I guess it's just like a self-confidence thing.
Yeah, it's self-confidence.
You know?
Like you're asking them to step into a man's place, to shake a hand, because that's what I tell my boys. I said, like when I'm introducing them or we're going to a family event, I'll make them all line up and shake everybody's hand, but that's what I'm getting prepared for is, hey, shake their hand, look in their eye, and say hi, to them, but the more they do that, it's going to be second nature. So
Absolutely, yeah. And then that's a skill they're going to take with them the rest of their life. And it's going to help them anytime in a job interview, when they meet somebody new, like that's your first impression. It's a big deal.
yeah, it's after their first appearance of you, like as when you walk through the door and they look at you, the next thing is that handshake.
Yeah.
It's going to establish, how it's going to kind of take off,
That's exactly right.
yeah.
No, it's important. And honesty, integrity, that's that is critical to being the type of person that I want to be. You know, you had said something earlier, like if you were going to make a list of the type of person that you want to be and work towards, top of the list, honest.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
be a man that does what he says he's going to do. And it just seems like we've lost a lot of that in society, that it's something that's not expected of people anymore. Like, I feel like the generations before us, our grandparents, and we kind of continue to talk about our grandparents in these podcasts, but I think there's something behind that. I think that those generations of men and women had more integrity than we do now. That those people, when they said they were going to do something, they made sure they got it done, and they did it. You know, it's just that is going away.
Well, and what a sad thing that is.
Yeah.
You know, because, like you said, that's a foundation of who you want to be as a man, right? So if one of the foundations of being a man is becoming not popular or something you're not striving to do, then if you don't have a strong foundation, you know, then your house is built up on sand. That, you know, you got a shaky foundation, you know, as who you're displaying yourself as a man, you know. And it's not a great place to be, for sure.
No, and it's kind of the norm nowadays to not be that honest.
Well, you get away with it, for sure.
You get away with it. Yeah, you get
Yeah.
away with it. And it's going to set you apart. If you're an honest person and you do what you say you're going to do and you have integrity, it's going to set you apart, especially in the workplace. And it's going to set you apart for a good reason. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it sets you apart inside yourself. Like how you feel about yourself, it's going to start changing the respect you have for yourself, because you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know you're a man of your word. You know that when you tell somebody something, you're doing it. You know that the words that are coming out of your mouth are truth, right?
Yep.
So when you lay your head down at night, you start to be more secure about who you are and the influences that you have in the world, because you know that you're doing something that you're supposed to be doing. No matter what, you might not tell the truth and you might get away with it, but I would venture to say that most men know that they're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
because most of us know right from wrong.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So if
we've
you're-
all got that conscious.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit, what you know, it's gonna let you know.
It sure
When
did
you're
me.
You're acting like you shouldn't be acting.
Yeah.
you
Oh
know.
yeah.
Well, we all know that it's important. Why is it so important? I mean, why is being honest so important? When we were preparing, you know, for this, we were looking up Bible verses about honesty, you know, just to have some background there, and there's a lot of them.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Bible is full of verses and stories about being honesty and how the Lord loves a person with integrity. But, you know, it's important to be able to build relationships. And I think if you don't have a foundation of honesty in your relationships, and that's you know, with your spouse, with your coworkers, with everybody, your friendships, if they're not built on honesty, they're just not going to be very good relationships. Right?
That's a fact. Okay, because if you can't trust somebody, you're not going to care for them. Okay, so if you don't care for somebody and you don't have trust in them, you can't build a solid relationship, right? I mean, I know that I'm not going to give myself and my trust and my time and my ability to somebody that I can't trust, right?
Yeah.
Because my time is valuable. So if somebody's constantly showed me that I can't trust you, or you know that I'm, or maybe that I don't even always know if you're telling me the truth or not, but if I'm constantly always having to question it, I'm just, you know, I just don't, there's not enough time in the day for me to have to spend to try to have to worry about that, you know.
Yeah, it's
you
just
know,
not-
like I
it's
will
just
have
not
to
gonna
deal with
work.
you if I have to deal with you, and I do want to help you if I can help you. But if it's not an area that you're seeking help, you know, because unwanted advice is criticism, right? So if it's somewhere where you're not actually seeking advice or whatever, then I just know, hey, you know what, I just can't give you my time, because I can't trust you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, it's too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all could probably remember growing up as kids and having, I guess you'd call them friends. They were probably more just acquaintances than real friends. And I probably did it too, but you'd catch somebody talking behind your back or lying to you or whatever. And
Sucker.
And it was like, I don't know, it created drama and stress. And when you're a kid, you don't really know how to handle it. And I mean, looking back, you should have just wrote those people off and been like, hey, we're not going to be friends anymore. But, you're in the middle of this school atmosphere environment.
You're trying to find your way in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As an adult, dude, you lie to me. You talk behind my back or something. I mean, it's hard to get that trust back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know we have to be able to forgive and things like that. Man, it's tough. It's tough when somebody has betrayed your trust to ever get that trust back.
Well, and if they want to, they would have to actively pursue that trust back, right?
You're right. Yeah,
like they're going to have to. I think the best way that I know that I have regained people's trust back that I had wronged is I had to humble myself and go to them and be like, hey, we both know I was in the wrong or that I've said some dishonest things, but I just want to let you know that that's behind me, right? And you could tell them all you want. You can give them all the lip service you want to about how you're gonna be honest with them and you're a man of your word. You made a turn, but it doesn't matter. What matters is how you show them going forward, right?
That's right, man. Actions,
not
words.
All of a sudden they'll be like, oh yeah, he said he was going to be here, and hey, he showed up. All of a sudden, he said he was going to, pay for this, and he paid for, what I mean? Like all of a sudden, now you start building that integrity back up with other people. If it's valuable to you to have that and to rebuild that.
No, it's doable, but it's gonna take time.
Oh yeah.
And I think you want to do that for those critical relationships like family and stuff. I mean, if you got somebody that's broken your trust, that there's not a valuable relationship there. I mean, I'm okay with just moving on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you just know you can't trust them, and like you said before,
I ain't got time for it.
Yeah, you just can't give them your time.
Yeah.
We're already stretched for time as it is in a daily life, in which, like I said, I'm always there to try to help somebody and uplift them or help them change. But the teacher will appear when the student is ready, and if the student ain't ready,
dang.
That's
pretty good.
Oh yeah, well I had a mentor tell me that one time.
No, that's good. That makes sense.
So
I guess honesty, integrity. When we want to talk about how important it is, and maybe how it's becoming a thing of the past. Well, we don't want that to be a thing of the past in our lives or in the lives of our children. We want to be able to teach them how to live with integrity. So how do we do that? How does it start?
Well, and I like to go from my experiences because that's the one that I know it's a fact. It's not like I got it from a book, and I'm like, well, the book says that number one is this is what you do, right? I know for me, because I have had to have a long journey coming back because a while back, Chris knows this, my family knows this, I made a line in the sand to do exactly what we're talking about is become the best man that I possibly could. And what did that look like? Honesty was on the very top of the list, right? Because that's something that I could start applying that day. So what I started doing is I started from the smallest things because what I come to find out is, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was a daily basis, but it was an ongoing basis that I would catch myself saying little white lies for some reason, maybe making a story a little bit better like we talked about or something. But so how I started combating that is I would be like in the midst of, saying that or whatever. I'd be like, well, you know what? Actually, no, that's not actually how it went. So I would correct myself immediately in the situation.
Yep.
So I'll tell you what happens is as you do that enough in the beginning, okay, you'll start to learn like I don't like having to go back and say that in mid conversation. So you start to learn like okay, so you'll have that, you won't have a mental battle like all of a sudden your knee jerk reaction will be to tell the truth.
Yeah, instead of having to go through that exercise of retracting that and and just like we were talking about this before we started today, that I think we all experience it probably. I don't know, maybe people that are more mature than us don't have to deal with it, but
yes,
you're telling a story or you're recounting an event and you exaggerate a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you tell a little white lie, and immediately the second it comes out of your mouth, that's not the truth, but you want the story to sound a little bit better. You know what I mean? I do it too, and I did it this morning. I was trying to remember what I was telling my wife, what story I was, and I just had to be like, okay, well, wasn't actually 10 of those, it was 5 of those, or what? You know what I mean? You have,
yeah.
So I think that's good. I think that's a good habit, a good way to start. Is just, I guess, understanding the value of being a truly honest person, right? That's where you start. Like, hey, there's some value here. I want to be on a certain path, and this is one of the things that's going to keep me on that path.
Yeah.
It's going to get me closer to God. It's going to make me a better person. It's going to create more opportunity for me, and so you got to understand the value of honesty, and then you got to make the commitment. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to tell the truth, and I think it's going to be harder in certain situations to tell the truth than maybe skirt the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to give you freedom, and it's going to, in the long run, be a lot less stressful, having to remember the lies that you've said or to keep the story going or trying to keep up with all that crap. You've just told the truth, so you don't got to remember anything. It is what it is, right? And now you're past that, and you can move on.
Maybe that's where a lot of anxiety comes from, because
dude, it probably so.
Oh, I mean, just what you said, like when you just said it, I was just thinking, wow, how much sweeter life has been that you don't have to remember a lie. You know what I mean? You don't have to remember it because you haven't told it. So, trust me. Like I said before, I've been on the other side. I've not told the truth. I've been deceitful, and like now, but being here, oh man, what a more peaceful, wonderful place to live in life. Is a life of honesty. It's taken a little while. I mean, I'm on my, I guess, if I'd say that the time that I drew the line in the sand was about 3 years ago.
Yep.
So, but if you look back, 3 years didn't seem like that very, very long. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So is it a journey worthwhile? Absolutely, because of the inner peace, like we just talked about. Like, I don't know, it's different. Like I said, sometimes it's hard for me to put into words of like how that peace is, but peace means happiness. So I would say I am happier today because the choice that I've made to be an honest man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the next step is just making a commitment that when you give your word or when you say that you're going to do something, you just do it. No matter what, you do it, right? You just keep your word.
The smallest thing or the biggest thing. Yeah.
It may not be the thing you want to do. It may not be the easiest thing, but hey, if you commit to it, you do it. And a big part of that is if you're not going to be able to do it, just don't commit to it.
Yeah, or if you did commit to it, at least let somebody know, like not just leaving them hang or just not doing it, period.
Yeah.
Like the real man thing is give them a call or let them know or reverse that commitment, some way, shape, or form. But that is still, being responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. I mean, follow up on it, right? I mean, things do happen. So sometimes something may come up where you're not able to fulfill that commitment, but at least close the loop, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt in somebody's mind. They're just not sitting there waiting like, when are they going to come through,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all behind it.
And so we just also wanted to talk about, well, how do you teach your children to be honest people and grow up and have integrity? I think a big part of it is modeling that behavior, right? Your kids are always going to be watching us. I mean, everything, they pick up on everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I just remembered a story about Cohen. I think I've told it to you before, but we went into a coffee shop. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I knew the guy that ran the coffee shop. And he was kind of an acquaintance of mine, and he made me a cup of coffee, and he was like, "Man, how's that cup of coffee?" You know, and I said, "Oh, it's great. It's real good. You know, good cup of coffee, man. I appreciate it." You know, and Cohen was in there with me. Well, we left, and later that day, and it was not a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Later that day, I was telling
Darn
Lacey, my wife, about went by and I ran into this guy that I knew, and
Yeah.
he gave me a cup of coffee, and I told her, and I said, it was the worst cup of coffee, you know?
Yeah.
And Cohen, he was in the back seat of the truck. He spoke up immediately, and he was like, "Well, Dad, you lied to that guy." He called me out on it immediately.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
Like, there was no gray area.
Yeah, what
in
are you going
his
to say to
mind.
that? What are you going to say to
He
that?
just said, "Dad, well, you
Yeah,
lied.
yeah, you lied to
told
him."
that guy it was a good cup
Yeah.
of coffee." And I was like, "Dang, you're right."
Yeah, but I'll tell you a thing, though, is that's an awesome testament to his upbringing because he knew about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
heard you say something later on behind that guy's back. You know,
Yeah.
you said something else. Well, to him, that's not what honest means.
That was a lie.
He was taught honesty means, boom, this right here, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and it was
self-check
it
a little
was,
bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Oh,
you
I know, yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
Your son calls you out in a lie, and
Yeah.
there's nothing you can say about it because he was there.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
But you got to model the behavior to them, and you got to bring it to their attention when why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh man, we've
You know
talked
what I
about
mean?
that before. The why, like, I know we say it, but I hope people out there kind of grasp the true magnitude of it and the true importance of it. You know, just like with children, you can tell them don't lie because I said so, or you can tell them don't lie and here's why. And I think like when I tell my boys about, you know, when I mention here's why, and I always use God. You know, I'm like, you know, that's because I said, Dad didn't make all these rules. Dad didn't make all these foundational things to stand on. I said, God did, you know. So I'm pushing it off and I'm saying, hey, it's more than just me. These didn't just come from me. These came from our Creator, right?
Yep.
So I'm giving it power. But then I explain to him, you know, here's why. Because when you give your word or when you say you're going to do something, it makes you a man that people can believe in and trust, you know, and care for. And I think when they see me modeling that and they do want to be like that, so when you're explaining it to them, they can relate like, okay, so that means being like you, Dad, you know. And
Yeah.
I you know, and if you're a good dad or you know you're becoming one or you want to become one, them are the things that you would want to do with your children.
They're always going to want to be like Dad, you know. And so
if you're good to them, you know what I mean. If you're good to your children, and you know they see you and they see other people that you know care for you or take your advice or want to be around you, you know, I think they want that same thing, you know.
Yeah, and they're gonna soak up whatever they're around and whatever they're seeing. They're gonna be somebody's gonna teach them something.
Yeah.
So it might as well be you teaching them the right stuff. So we got to slow down. We got to talk to them and be a teacher to them.
Yeah, and look them in the eye, man. I always like if I'm going to be talking pretty important with them or something that means something, I like to get down on their level and spend that little one-on-one time with them. Having you look at them and I'm like, hey, now look at me now, because they'll drift off sometimes.
listening?
Yeah, are
Yeah.
you listening? Because this is very important. Here's why. Here's why it's important. But I'm blessed. I have good children that I don't know. It's something like it seems, and it could be because I have all three boys, but it's just like when I'm talking passionately about something to them, it's like they're hanging on my words.
They are, yeah.
It's like they want to be there. It isn't like I'm beating them over the head with it. It's like it's an easy conversation with them.
They want to learn from you.
Yeah.
They look up to you. I mean, they really do. They want to spend time with you. That's something I've noticed here lately with my kids. Electronics are the freaking worst thing in the world
Oh, no.
for kids.
I hate that
And
verbiage. Well, we're gonna have electronics time. I'm like, not with Dad. It's
it's so bad for them, I think, and you get so addicted to it. Trust me, I'm the same way. You get addicted to your phone, big time. You can't get off of it. You're always checking it. It's so, and your kids the same way with video games and TV and stuff. But I'll tell you this, and maybe it's just the age that my kids are, and if so, I hope I cherish it. They'll drop that video game in a heartbeat if I walk in the room and like, hey, you wanna hang out?
Yeah.
You wanna go outside and do something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they want to do that. They want to do that way more than they want to play that video game.
Yeah.
Because they love you. They want to spend time with you, and that's while you're doing that stuff, take them outside, play catch, whatever it is. Talk to them about things, teach them something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you want them to grow up and have an easier life, I would say. Right.
Yeah.
So part of having an easier life is being able to function in the world with peace and with harmony and be happy. Well, we just said that, or I just said that, I've noticed that since I've incorporated honesty into my life, I've been happier. Well, hey, I see this as an asset. I see this as a plus, right? I want my children to have the same peace and happiness. Yeah. Well, I'm going to teach you what I don't want you to go through what I've been through.
Yeah, maybe they can figure it out sooner.
Oh, absolutely.
Younger.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've told other men before. I said my goal is with my boys is I want to take them as far as I've ever been spiritually and mentally and give them every bit of wisdom that I've ever gained in life, so that they can use that as a launching pad to go past me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, if I don't spend the time to tell them or show them the things that have empowered me in life, they wouldn't be able to use that as a launching pad to go even further, right? Yeah. They're having to, after I'm gone, they're having to play catch up to get where Dad was, and now they're going to try to surpass. Well, no, I want to get them there as far as I can. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to look at it, man. Because I think we all want better for our children. So, yeah, get them as far as you can, right? Yeah. And then they're going to only grow from there.
But the only way you're going to get them there is by, like you said, spending time with them, teach them something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen overnight. One little bitty thing here, one little bitty thing there. Next thing you know, a couple months have been by, and heck, you've taught them 2 or 3 valuable things in life. But it doesn't. I mean, you can't just teach them one time either and expect it to sink in and last forever. It's an ongoing thing.
But we were talking about the sweet spot.
Oh, I know. I was going to jump in that a little early, but I'm glad I held off a little bit because then it come at perfect time.
Go into that.
The sweet spot?
Yeah, what we were talking about.
Okay, so the reason we called it that is because, like what Chris was mentioning before, like he was telling a story to his wife, and all of a sudden, like inside of his mind, he realized, wait a minute, I said, I don't even know what he was talking about. I said 10, it was actually 5, or whatever that means. He was trying to make the story a little bit better. Well, what I told him, I said, you know what? I said, you will never be perfect. You will never, I would venture to say you would never not have to worry about that particular situation ever again in your life, right? But I said the sweet spot is that when it happened, when the words came out of your mouth, that inside you immediately picked up like, wait, that was wrong. Oh, you know what? I stretched the truth a little bit. That's a great place to be in life, right? Yeah. Because now you're training yourself to do the right thing. So when it comes time to it, that's your knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
We're born into sin, so maybe having a sinful nature is something that we have to battle the rest of our lives. But if you're conditioning yourself to do the right thing, boom, that's the knee-jerk reaction. As soon as it happens, bam, you're thinking, hey, wait a minute.
You fix it.
Yeah, you fix it. Well, I think the sweet spot is that you not only notice it, but then you fix it.
Yeah.
You're man enough to fix it.
To stop it. And
to say, and correct yourself. Yeah. It's not fun. Trust me. I spent the last couple of years, having to do it randomly.
No, I think we all do. I think it's part of being human. Like you said, I think if we're going to do everything we can to live a life of integrity, it's going to be a daily battle. You're never going to be there. It's going to be a journey.
Where is there?
Right? Yeah. And so, the sweet spot, it's kind of what we labeled it, is being in that zone to where when you're tempted or when you do misspeak or tell a little bit of a fib, that you realize it, you catch it, you retract it, and you speak the truth, and I think that's another behavior your children are going to pick up on probably too.
Well, because if you end up doing it with them, they're going to be like, hey, Dad was man enough to retract that statement, know, and you let them know, like, hey, retracting this statement isn't the end of the world.
Right.
Actually,
it
didn't. It didn't make you a liar. Nobody would have knew it besides you. It actually made you a bigger person because you did it. You made yourself look a little goofy, but guess what? Inside, you did the right thing, and you're proud of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's respectful, and honestly, I mean, it may feel like you felt you were being goofy. Probably the people that you were talking to, you gained a little respect from them.
Oh, I guarantee you.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Like, who's going to be like, oh, well, not every word that comes out of his mouth is perfect and proper and the truth. No, they're going to be like, hey, he actually retracted that, and he said the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know me personally, I would respect the heck out of that. So,
well, that's kind of what we had to say about honesty.
yeah, I mean, it was not near as much. It was plenty for sure. But yeah, it was definitely a hot subject. I think in today's society and what it takes to be a man. So in closing, though, we was going to say about our next episode. We got a guest that's going to be coming on. It's a friend of mine that I've known a little bit. Actually only known him about a year. So, but real unique individual, has plenty to say, and is living a life that if you and you'll meet him. So for him to be who he is today and to gone through what he has gone through, it's only a testament to what God can do in somebody's life. So I know somebody's definitely going to get something from it, because I know there's people out there that's either been through similar situations or has had major struggles. But for him to sit here today and to be able to communicate and talk about God and give him glory and be well versed as he is, I mean, it's just a miracle. And I'm all about being around miracles. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah, man.
I mean, it just makes me smile. Like I've told him this so many times. I'm just like, I'm a brother. For you to be who you are today is because he'll be telling me stories, because we'd worked together, and I just tell him, I'm like, it's only a testament to God that you are who you are today. Like you're thinking this way, or your thought process is about this, or you're bouncing this off me, because they were just good, holy things, and it's just, like I said, it's a testament to God, what he can do in somebody's life if you allow him, but he had to allow him.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's part of it, man, for sure. No, I can't wait. I haven't met this gentleman yet, but I am very excited to hear his story. It sounds like he's living an incredible life and has a lot to say. So, you guys, you aren't going to want to miss that one. So tune in.
Tune in.
We appreciate you listening and hope that whatever some of this that we've talked about today, helps somebody out there.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Always remember who you are and whose you are. We'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah, my beard will be a little bit longer next time.
I hope so.
Yeah. Embarrassing.